In the 15th century, few rulers inspired more fear than Vlad III Dracula, better known as Vlad the Impaler. To some, he was a brutal tyrant. To others, a national hero who defended his land against invasion and corruption. But beyond the legends, what was his actual daily life like? What did he eat? How did he train? Did he drink heavily? What did sleep, hygiene, medicine, and relationships look like for one of history's most feared rulers? This is a reconstruction of the everyday habits of Vlad the Impaler, based on historical records, medieval customs, and life in 15th century Wallachia. Vlad likely woke before sunrise. Medieval rulers operated according to daylight, military demands, and religious schedules. There were no clocks in the modern sense. Life followed the rhythm of the sun. As Prince of Wallachia, Vlad's mornings were probably highly structured and security-focused. Assassination and betrayal were constant threats. He would wake in a fortified residence, surrounded by guards and servants. Sleep itself may not have been peaceful. Vlad spent years in political conflict, warfare, and exile. Chronic stress was likely a permanent part of his life. Unlike modern luxury, medieval nobles often slept on straw or feather mattresses with heavy blankets and furs. Rooms were cold, smoky, and dimly lit. Vlad's diet would have reflected both noble privilege and military practicality. Meals in 15th century Eastern Europe centered around roasted meats like pork, beef, lamb, and game, bread made from rye or barley, cheese and fermented dairy, and stews with onions, cabbage, beans, and garlic. Garlic, famously associated with vampire legends centuries later, was actually common in the region and widely believed to protect against illness. As a ruler constantly preparing for war, Vlad probably consumed high-calorie meals rich in fat and protein. Food shortages were common during campaigns, so preserving energy mattered. Clean drinking water was unreliable, so wine and weak ale were consumed regularly, even daily. But contrary to popular myth, medieval rulers were not necessarily drunk all the time. Vlad likely drank wine often, especially during feasts and diplomatic meetings, but there's little evidence he was known for extreme alcoholism. Military discipline would have mattered more than constant intoxication. Exercise for Vlad wasn't a hobby, it was survival. As a medieval prince and military commander, his physical routine probably included horseback riding, sword training, archery, combat drills, hunting expeditions, and long travel on rough terrain. Nobility in this era trained for warfare from childhood. Vlad spent part of his youth as a political hostage in the Ottoman Empire, where military discipline and martial education were intense. By modern standards, his lifestyle was extremely active. Even outside battle, rulers traveled frequently, inspected troops, rode for hours, and endured harsh weather. Historians describe Vlad as physically imposing and highly resilient. He likely had strong endurance and practical combat fitness, rather than the muscular physique associated with modern gyms. Medieval hygiene was inconsistent by modern standards, but not non-existent. Vlad probably bathed occasionally, using heated water and oils when conditions allowed. Nobles had better access to washing facilities than peasants, though daily bathing was uncommon. Dental care was primitive. Teeth were cleaned with cloth, salt, herbs, or abrasive powders. Disease was everywhere. Infection, parasites, and untreated injuries were constant dangers. Medical treatment relied heavily on herbal remedies, bloodletting, religious rituals, and folk medicine. Painkillers existed in crude forms. Alcohol, poppy extracts, and herbal sedatives were sometimes used medicinally. There's no reliable evidence Vlad used recreational drugs in the modern sense. Strong narcotics were rare, expensive, and medically limited. Vlad ruled during a brutal period of political instability. He faced invasions, betrayal from rival nobles, shifting alliances, and the expanding power of the Ottoman Empire. Modern historians debate his psychological profile. Some describe calculated political terror rather than uncontrolled cruelty. His infamous use of impalement served multiple purposes: punishment, psychological warfare, and political intimidation. Living under constant threat likely created extreme psychological pressure. Sleep deprivation, paranoia, and chronic stress may have shaped his behavior. In medieval leadership, cruelty was often viewed differently than today. Public executions were common across Europe. Vlad simply became more infamous than most. Like many rulers of his era, Vlad's relationships were tied closely to politics and dynastic survival. Historical records about his private romantic life are limited, but he is believed to have married at least twice and fathered children. Marriage among nobility was,